Uachtarán Chang Dai Quang, the Fablak sa Shilak, Vietnam, Iama Ushla the Vietnam, agus stated. President Chang Dai Quang, Madam Niwin T. Ian, Excellencies, distinguished guests, Cordia Iliok. Mahan Hain agus son Mavan Saivin, Nisita Tartiashta Lam, Ismin Lam Mawikas Sagolia Vasur Firkin Folsha. Mr. President, distinguished guests, I would like on my own behalf and on behalf of my wife Sabina and all those travelling with me to thank you for the warmth of your welcome this evening and your extraordinary kind and warm tributes to Ireland this evening. It is an honour to be here as President of Ireland on the first ever state visit by an Irish President to the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. And I am delighted to be joined by a delegation which includes the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade, Mr. Charles Flanagan, and his wife Mary. Mr. President, as you have already noted, this year we celebrate 20 years of diplomatic relations between Ireland and Vietnam. And while the formal relationship between our two countries is thus relatively short, while the depth of our shared historical experience stretches beyond such brevity of our formal ties and the length of the geographic distance between us. We are two peoples who have been shaped by historical challenges of such similarity as gives us an instinctive understanding of one another. Both of our peoples have suffered the horrendous experience of famine in Ireland in the 1840s and in Vietnam nearly 100 years after those terrible events. In those eventful decades at the beginning of the 20th century, there is some speculation that there may have been contact between the Irish revolutionary leader Michael Collins and your great leader Ho Chi Minh when they lived in London in the 1920s, or perhaps when they met in Paris. Whatever the truth of that legend, we know that the impact of colonialism and conflict on our two nations was acute. After the collision of empires that was the First World War all over Europe, both of our peoples were stirred by an urge for emancipation that was not to be confined within any boundaries. We can think of the Paris Peace Conference of 1919, when a young Ho Chi Minh sent a petition asking for independence from France, but did not receive an answer from the presiding world powers, preoccupied as they were with the adjustment of their interests in new circumstances. Similarly, the doors in Paris remained closed to Irish Republicans who were seeking to advance Irish independence from the British Empire. This year, Ireland has been commemorating the 1916 Rising at Easter, a founding event in our independence. The passage of time and our centennial reflection has helped us Irish to accept the value of being inclusive as to the differing views on Ireland's revolution and its context. I have been struck today, and indeed for some time, by the reflective capacity, the resilience and the understanding of the Vietnamese people, which has enabled them to forge a fresh start and build links with former foes. After the most incredible suffering from a series of empires and such loss of life, such breadth of vision has been an invaluable element in Vietnam's rapid and impressive social and economic development, and it deserves our admiration. In recent decades, Ireland and Vietnam have drawn closer together internationally. For example, through our shared emphasis on multilateral engagement, particularly at the United Nations, where we have collaborated together on the development of instruments that would lead to the elimination or the control of those cluster munitions which have inflicted so much loss of life and capacity on your country. On Wednesday, I will travel to Quang Tri province to meet the provincial leadership and to see the work that is supported through the Irish Aid Programme in the education of communities on the threat that unexploded ordnance continues to pose to your people. I'm also looking forward to the opportunity of meeting some of your ethnic minority communities. Ireland has been happy to work in partnership with the government of Vietnam, with them, the non-governmental sector, and those communities themselves in supporting their development. As a former Minister for Culture, I have been deeply impressed by the rich diversity of Vietnamese culture. It is something that is greatly impressive. It was impressive when I first visited your country 20 years ago. But that cultural diversity is, I am convinced, a great asset for the future, one to be cherished and nurtured. Both of our countries can take inspiration from each other as we seek to ensure that government, society, and economy can work together in shaping and securing a development path that will lead us to a sustainable future, one in which politics, economic life, and ecological responsibility will combine to produce inclusive and ethical growth in a real productive economy. There is a growing and very welcome movement of people between our countries. We have a growing and vibrant Vietnamese community in Ireland for whose contribution we are very grateful. They are amongst the most dynamic contributors to Irish society. And then about 10,000 Irish visitors travel to Vietnam each year. And we have a resident Irish community of about 600 who are particularly active in education and in business. There is much that we share in deep cultural values. We are both known for the importance we attach to our long history and for our mutual appreciation of learning and literature, values I witnessed during my visit to the Temple of Literature yesterday. And our peoples are also passionate about music and song, and tomorrow we will bring some representatives of the young generation of Irish musicians to the Hanoi Opera House, where we hope to share with you the energy and spirit of traditional Irish music. I thank you for your reference to George Bernard Shaw and Jonathan Swift. And indeed, we have other writers who went on to achieve international recognition in the language that we undertook to shape the English language. But I think, too, I want to acknowledge the extraordinary 1,000-year-long literary tradition of your country. For all of these reasons and many more, I am pleased to be here, Mr. President, with you this evening to celebrate the friendship between our peoples. And it is my hope that this visit will deepen the framework for the next and enriched chapter in our relations to the mutual benefit of all of our peoples. And I look forward, President Quang, to receiving you when you visit Ireland. I look forward to your visit warmly. Con our gortas Kelura, to celebrate our friendship, let me now invite you all to join me in a toast. To you, President Chang Dai-Quang, and Madam Nguyen Thi Hien, and to the people of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, I offer my thanks mo weakest and sincerest good wishes, Gachrakas Banacht, and invite the company to raise your glasses with an Irish wish for good health in our Voclif Féin, Sláinte is Ganari Santáqui, Le Octrantart agus Le Muinter Vietnam, to the President and people of Vietnam.